Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. I recently put out an animation called The Flood, and with it I put out a tutorial on how to make the rain effects in the animation. And in the comments there was quite a few asking for a breakdown of the scene, how to get the overall look, the lighting, the texturing, just kind of everything about it. So that's what I'm going to do in this video. I'm going to break down the process, so let's begin. So like most people, I started off just blocking out the scene and trying to get a camera angle down, because once you get the camera angle you can build everything around it and you don't have to do as much work, because things that wouldn't be in the camera view you don't ever make because you already have the camera down, if that makes any sense. But I started blocking out the city, just moving cubes around to get the general shape and composition that I wanted. Now I don't do things in like an extremely specific order, so after blocking out things, or I think actually before, I had this water material just procedurally made. So the next thing that I did after that is texture the buildings. I just used images from textures.com and extruded pieces out, move things around to fit the buildings. I also replaced the material on the windows so it would be glossy. I modeled this really simple bridge to put in the background. It's nothing special, very low poly, but you really barely see it in the final render, so it didn't really matter how it looked. I just needed something to fill in a little bit of space. Next it was on to props. I didn't make all of this, I got a few things from different places. I did all the pipes, made the air conditioner by just taking a picture of an air conditioner, extruding it out, and I also just moved that piece out a little bit to make a little bump where the fan cover was. All of the wires are just curves, just draped them randomly across the scene. I always like putting something in the foreground. It just creates a nice depth to the scene, so you have something really close, some middle stuff, and then the background. Now I needed a person in the boat. My vision for this scene was someone in a raincoat and they're just trying to find somewhere to stay, but it's raining, they're cold, they're lonely, and I photo scanned my sister and then just placed her in the scene, and it turned out pretty well. I even put this extra procedural that adds water droplets, and it's just using a Musgrave texture, color ramp, and then I put it in the bump and also the roughness. Since it'll be raining later, or it's raining in the scene, but I don't have the rain there yet, it needed fog and some like very soft white light. Not any super directional harsh lighting, so I used fog and then area lights at the top. I have two, one that's kind of close to the boat and one kind of far away, just to kind of fill in some places. So that's what that looks like. I felt like the boat needed a little bit of extra stuff on it, so I added some things to the back of it. It was just from this asset pack I downloaded, which was like survival kit stuff. Has a sleeping bag, a rope, duct tape, and a cup. Now you can see there's just nothing in the back. It's just fog, and you can't see anything in the back of the scene. So next I added the background elements. I just put two emissive planes on these buildings, which are just, again, textures from textures.com. I projected them on there, added a block of fog, and then now you have a nice silhouette of these buildings. And then after all this was done, it was time to make the rain, and the rain is just coming from a plane, and again you can see that in my tutorial if you would like, if you haven't already watched that. And just to present the rest of the scene, I'm going to turn the rain off because it kind of lags everything out a little bit. So one thing a lot of you are probably wondering about this scene is the animation side of it. And for the boat, I just have everything on the boat parented to it. For the character, I didn't actually rig her, I just used shape keys, keyframed the different shape keys. Because when I tried rigging, I just got some really weird results. It didn't work right. I think it was the backpack and also her sitting down. It just didn't work right. These wires up here were animated with noise, so if I open the graph editor, I only have two keyframes on them. I grabbed them all by one loop on each wire, and then I added noise to it in the graph editor, and that's what makes them bounce up and down. I used the same technique on the camera, just using noise on the different rotations. So I want to go a little more into the lighting because it's one thing that I kind of struggled with. I went through a lot of different things in lighting. I had one test render where I had this light turned all the way up and it just spilled orange light all into the scene, and I ended up taking it away because I just felt like the warmth, it took away from the feeling of loneliness and being cold and scared. The soft white lighting I thought worked nice because of the rain. Normally if you see it during rain or after it outside, it's kind of just like a white misty look. Also on these buildings, to add a little more detail to them, you can plug the image into the specular, the roughness, and a bump node into the normal, and it adds a lot to it. Instead of it just being flat, it just looks better. Now in compositing, I really don't have a lot going on. I just have the mist pass, and then I add the image and the mist together, put it through a lens distortion so I can have just a little bit of dispersion and distortion. I rendered the animation in Eevee, but I rendered the still image in cycles to get a little more lighting quality, I guess. They both turned out really good though. They're unique in their own way. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you learned something or enjoyed it, or both. So, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.